Jeffrey Skilling just got a get-out-of-jail-free card. As part of a tentative deal reached with the Justice Department this week, the disgraced Enron executive will have 11 years taken off his 24-year sentence. The deal's not completely free. Skilling still has to hand over $40 million in assets to victims of Enron's collapse. What's he still doing with $40 million bucks? But when you think about the magnitude of his crimes and the length of his initial sentence, it's a pretty sweet deal. If all goes to plan, Skilling will walk free in 2017. According to his lawyer, Daniel Petroselli, he will now at least have a chance to get back a meaningful part of his life. You're a lucky guy, Mr. Skilling. There are 86 people imprisoned right now in Guantanamo Bay who wish they could have an opportunity to get a meaningful part of their lives back. In 2009, the Obama administration cleared 86 detainees for release, but 4 years later, those same men are still waiting for their own get-out-of-jail-free card. Although the president could technically release them by using an obscure provision in the National Defense Authorization Act, the political risk of any of those 86 detainees joining up with a terrorist group, I guess, according to the White House, is just too high. So that's the way it is in America these days. Letting clearly guilty fraudster walk is okay, and indefinitely detaining innocent brown men is a savvy political strategy. If you're wealthy and white, you get off with barely a scratch, but if you're poor and in Guantanamo, you can kiss your chance of freedom goodbye. For more on this, I'm joined by Mike Papantonio, attorney and host of Ring of Fire Radio. Mike, welcome back.
Tom, how are you?
I'm fine. So, Pap, what are your thoughts on the Skilling deal, and how do people like him get off so easy?
Well, this is based on something called honest services. It's a charge that they charged Skilling with called honest services. It was a charge that, on its face, really, Tom, is unconstitutional. This is an analysis that you have to make to where this is a man who is an absolute criminal. He stole from his employees. He stole from the public. He lied to the government. He should be in prison a long time. As it is, he's going to have 10 years taken off of his 24-year prison sentence. But what it is you have the prosecution in this case that is so terrified that this honest services prosecution that they use all the time, it's called a lazy prosecutor's tool, Tom. What it is, it's much like RICO. The prosecutor who doesn't really want to do the job thoroughly, they'll generally fall back on honest services. We saw it with Duke Cunningham. We saw it with Don Siegelman. We saw it with George Ryan, past governor of Illinois. We saw it with Jack Abramoff. So rather than focusing on a charge like pure fraud, pure criminal cases that is built around very simple concepts, they use this honest services when they feel like they really don't want to do their job. So the U.S. Supreme Court looked at honest services, and this was the Scalia court, understand, and anytime they can give corporate America a break, they will. They looked at the honest services charge, and they said on its face it seemed to be unconstitutional, but they didn't declare it unconstitutional. They just gave enough wiggle room to the prosecution to let guys like Skilling off.
Wow. And what about those 86 guys in Guantanamo who this administration, actually the Bush administration, as I recall, has said, nah, they're not guilty of anything. They shouldn't be here.
Right. Well, you know, the story, Guantanamo obviously is a great contrast, but how about Cornell Hood from Louisiana, sentenced to life because he had his fourth marijuana possession charge? That's not distribution, that was possession charge. Or Darrell Robinson robbed a Burger King, caught on surveillance. This is a guy who was wearing a floral dress, a wig, and a bra, looked like a clown, robs Burger King, and they give him 198 years in prison. The stories go on forever. And the truth is, this is just another situation to where you had the Bush administration, that even the Bush administration could not ignore the conduct of people like Skilling in the Enron case. But if you compare what Skilling did compared to what Richard Fuld did, or Angelo Mazzella did, what he did with Countrywide, if you take a look at what this Justice Department has allowed to happen on Wall Street, there's hardly a comparison where it comes to severity of crime. Yeah. So this is an interesting story on a lot of different levels. The prosecutor, for example, that says, gee, justice is done because now these people are going to get their money back. What a pathetic thing to say. Yeah. $40 million is going to be distributed to these people. You're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars that were lost. And this prosecutor, in order to make the Justice Department look like they've done something high-minded here, says, gee whiz, people are going to get their money back.
Wow. Now, in the meantime, the president has congratulated, or the vice president, one or the other, has congratulated Walmart for hiring more, actually it was both, hiring more returning veterans. Isn't this really greenwashing or some variation on Walmart's part? I mean, just...
Well, yeah, Walmart has always been good at selling that type of thing. It is always taking advantage and using that propaganda edge. They've really taken this to new heights. But you know, can you imagine a guy who has skills where it comes to aircraft maintenance, skills as mechanics, all different types of technical skills. He has to come back to the United States and work as a greeter or a stock boy at Walmart. And this administration declares that a victory. And the reason he has to do it, Tom, is because the United States has sent all of our manufacturing jobs overseas. This president continues to extend that type of idea about manufacturing. As a matter of fact, with his new efforts to even increase CAFTA and NAFTA to the Pacific Rim. We're saying that we're sending more manufacturing jobs out of the country, but this administration has the audacity to declare a victory because Walmart is going to hire these soldiers, these veterans with incredible skills as greeters.